Hey everybody, it's Cindy here, and we are talking about self-love. And today I want to talk to you about that in terms of letting go of what is no longer necessary. So if I know women, I know a lot of us operate with to-do lists. Like, what do I need to get done today, this week? We like to make the list and check things off, right? When we accomplish them, we got the groceries, we got the report done, we got the whatever, all things, and that makes us feel really good. I'm the same way. I like to make to-do lists, and it keeps me organized, and I feel so good when I can cross things off my to-do list. Well, today, in terms of talking about letting go, I want to suggest that you write yourself a not to-do list. A not to-do list. You're like, really? Come on. But here, just hang with me for a second, because there's a lot of things that I am certain many of you are doing that I would like to see you let go of and not do anymore. So I want you to, as you listen to me give examples, I want you to write down what your not to do's might be. They might be some things I actually directly mention, or they might spur some thoughts in you of other things that you know you don't want to do anymore, that you've been doing, are draining your energy and keeping you from having the joy and the happiness and success that you want in your life on your terms. Okay, so here's some examples. Number one, do not shame yourself anymore. No more. I'd like you to live without regret, actually. And I know that's a bold statement, but I'm all about being bold, right? Because when it comes to getting happy and healthy. So here's my thinking on that. So we've all done things or not done things or said things or not said things that maybe if we could go back in time, we would do differently, right? Me too. And so we all have that situation. But shaming ourselves, continuing to shame ourselves and live in guilt and regret and just that horrible feeling weighs so heavily. You might as well stack big bricks, stacks and stacks and layers of them on their shoulders, because really that is weighing you down. It's weighing you down more than you might even realize if you're hanging on to shaming yourself. So if you can look at the things that you regret or feel shame about and say, and believe somehow, because this is true, I promise you this is true, that whatever it was, whenever it was, however it all evolved, you really, truly were doing the best you could at the time with the resources and understanding and awareness that you had at the time in your life. You did the best you could. There were reasons you did or didn't do whatever happened. And if you really look at it carefully, or if we talk through it, you can see why those things happened or didn't happen, or how it went a certain way. And so there's no point at all in shaming yourself. If you're going to look backwards in your life and go back and see and analyze or go over and process something that's happened in the past that you've done or whatever that you feel shame about, only stay there long enough to create a better understanding and awareness of yourself and learn. Learn from it so you do not go down that path again, so that you can make a different choice now. Okay, so what not to do? No shaming yourself. Got it? Got it? Got it? Look at me pointing my finger at you. Sorry about that. That's like the point none of us want, right? Like we got from our parents, we were kids. Sorry about that. Anyway, okay. Number two, blaming others all the time. Okay, just stop. Stop. I'm not saying that other people aren't responsible for their actions and behavior. Of course they are. Of course they are. They're responsible for how they treat you, etc. However, if you just go around blaming other people in your life, every time you blame somebody else for what's going on with you, whether you're blaming like your spouse or the school system or the government or the environment or the president or an organization you're involved in, your boss, your neighbor, whatever. Anytime you're pointing blame and looking outside of yourself, you're giving your power away, because they're not walking around wondering how they can change your life for the positive, most likely. But you can. You can. Here is where your power is, right within yourself. So it's not that those people and those things don't need to be responsible for themselves too. They do and need to. But we do too. Like, I need to take full responsibility for my life. And so again, anytime we're focusing on the other people or other circumstances around us, we're giving part of our power away, and we'll be less likely to change things in a way that feel really, really good. So what else not to do? Blame, stay in blame of other people. Okay, and number 3, hanging on to the past. Way back when, life was so good, or college was the best years of my life. I'm 51. What good does that? I mean, great, but don't hang on to what was, whether it was great or terrible or somewhere in between or a mix of both. Hanging on to the past and trying to live in the past, what used to be, is a waste of your time and energy. And it can be very depressing for people, whether it was a really happy past or a really unhappy past, because the fact is it's over. And all we've got is right now, today, right now, right now. We don't want to just live into the future either and go, oh, someday I'll do this and someday I'll do that. You want to stay right here. So do not hang on to the past anymore. Let it go. Let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. Okay, another thing not to do. Live in fear. Fear, 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 and worry. Fear and worry are 2 of the greatest emotional states that we get ourselves into that are the most destructive. Let's do worry first. Worry is 95% of what we worry about, researchers say, never happens. It never even happens. 95%. Okay, but yet we worry about it. Now, I know things happen, but here's an example. I do know plane crashes, I get that, and I'm so sorry if any of you have been through that. But one of the things I worried about when my children were small was every time I stepped on an airplane, I thought, oh, I hope this doesn't crash. Now, I really wasn't worried about the crash. I was worried about what my real worry was, is that I wouldn't be alive then to raise my children. And I didn't want them to ever think that I thought a little trip was more important than them. That's all that was swirling around in my head every time. I didn't worry too much that it stopped me from ever flying. But every time I made that final step onto the plane, I'd think, boy, this better not crash. Now, fortunately for me, I've flown a lot and I've never been in an airplane crash. I know airplane crashes happen, but most of the time, most situations, even though a lot of us worry about that on a regular basis, I don't anymore, by the way. It's not going to happen for the most part. So it's just an example. Please forgive me if you've been through a plane crash or your loved ones have. I apologize. It's just an example of something that I know a lot of us have worried about that rarely happens. So the energy we give worrying about many things is much, much more costly to us because of how rare it actually is. Does that make sense? So worry does not serve anything, and it doesn't change anything. Whether I worried or not, if the plane was going to crash, it was going to crash, or if it wasn't, it wasn't. So why did I waste that energy worrying? So that's what I'm trying to say. Not very eloquently, sorry. And fear is very much like this. We fear many things, and fear can stop us in our tracks. Fear can keep us from trying something new. Fear can keep us from reaching out and having an honest conversation that we know needs to happen. Fear can keep us from starting our own business. Fear can keep us from traveling to a new country. Fear can keep us from dating when we want companionship. Fear can keep us from leaving a relationship that's abusive. Fear can keep you from so many things. So I want you to look at fear differently. As an acronym, fantasized experiences appearing real. This is something Jack Canfield teaches. Fantasized experiences appearing real, fear. And so what he is teaching is that most of our fears are never realized. Most of the fears we have don't come true, kind of like I was talking about with worry, right? But we can get really invested in the fear. And a nice metaphor to that is when you go to a horror movie, you go in the theater on purpose to see a scary movie, right? And you're sitting there and you get scared, like your heart palpitates, your hands sweat, you go, oh, or you scream, or, you get all into it. I love getting into like a psychological thriller or whatever, and you get all scared, and the experience feels really, really real. And then kaboom, the movie ends, you walk out the door and you're like, that wasn't real, that was a movie. And that's a lot like what our fears are, because we can get all invested in it and we can experience the fear as very real, as if something really could happen. This is really happening or could really be happening to us, when it isn't happening at all. Okay, so please, on your not to-do list, do not fear so much. No fear. Let go of fear and let go of worry. Say yes when you really mean no. Okay? Stop doing this. This is on your not to-do list. Do not say yes when your real answer, your honest answer, the answer you need to give is no. Period. Don't do it. You don't have to do anything. You can choose to do anything and everything and say no to everything else all the things that do not fit into who you really are and what you really want in your life. Period. So do not say yes when you really mean no in any situation. And then any lies you are living, the lies you are living in your life, let go. Because again, they're like bricks on your shoulders. This can take many forms. You may be pretending that alcohol is not an addiction for you, that you don't actually have a problem with alcohol when you know deep down you do. You may be having, deceiving your spouse in some way. There's a lot of addiction to porn out there, online porn. A lot of relationships are experiencing that. And so that's a lie, right? That someone's getting online and meeting their sexual needs through porn and not telling their partner or spouse or whatever that they're doing this. It's a deceit, Or another lie is not paying your bills, not taking responsibility for your finances, right? Pretending those bills don't exist. I can't tell you how many clients I have had over the years who've divulged to me that they don't even open their bills anymore because they don't want to know what money they owe. Okay, so they're living a lie, but yet they'll go out to a restaurant and buy themselves, a nice meal. So that's a lie, right? They're living a lie. And so, that health problem you think you might have in your body and you're ignoring it, you're going to pretend it's not there. That's living a lie. So these can be really, really costly. These lies can be really costly. Or it can be something like you don't really like someone anymore, don't feel good about, a friend. You really don't feel anything in common with that friend anymore, but you keep trugging along, acting like you do, and spend time anyway with her or him, even when you really don't want to. Lie, right? So anyway, these are some examples of my not to do list for you and for all of us, for letting go, for loving ourselves more. So hey, share with me your not to do list. Like, let me know, like, what else are you encouraging us women? We all need each other. What other ways can we let go that you can think of? Add them here. I want to see some conversation down here, and let me know what you're letting go of or what you'd like to let go of, and to love yourself more. And I will talk to you again soon. Bye.